So let's review compare and contrast quickly before we jump into our assignment for today. So I posted this poster yesterday for you guys to look at. Compare and contrast, okay? You have your Venn diagram. You're going to use this 90% of the time when you are using compare and contrast, okay? So this is the Venn diagram. The side by itself over here is a difference, so it might be a topic over here. The other side is another difference. It's a different topic over here. And then where they both intertwine or come together is how they are alike or similar, okay? So when I compare, I identify what's the same. So when you're comparing how are they alike? What's the same about them? And then here are some words that you might use or see when people are comparing something. And then down here, when I contrast, I identify what's different, okay? How are they different from each other? How are they not the same? Things that are not similar, okay? So keep this in mind while we are working. And remember, we are comparing and contrasting now because next week we are going to work on comparing and contrasting different authors' perspectives, okay? Which is a skill we've covered last week, okay? So a short history of computers. That's the first short text. It's a really short passage. And then the next one is computers today, another short passage. Okay, you will be comparing, telling how they're similar, and contrasting, telling how they are different. Okay, and just like I said, we're going to use a Venn diagram. Okay, so I will read these. As always, I would like you to reread them at home. So a short history of computers. In 1833, a man named Charles Babbage came up with the idea of the modern computer. But there was one problem. He couldn't figure out how to make one. 100 years later, computer became a reality. In 1939, the first computers were invented to help countries fight wars. Then, around 1950, companies began using computers to help run their businesses. These computers were so huge that they filled large rooms. In 1981, the first PC or personal computer was sold. It fit on a desktop and had a keyboard and a screen. Since then, computer use has exploded. Computers are everywhere today. Computers have become faster, smarter, and smaller. They are so small that we hold them in our hands. Okay, so for example, that might be your cell phone, an iPod, an iPad, something like that. Okay. So now, after reading that, we're going to compare and contrast it to this short story called Computers Today. 50 years ago, few people knew much about computers. For the most part, they were used by the government or in businesses. But today, computers are everywhere. You might be surprised to learn how many everyday items contain computers. Cell phones and digital cameras use computers. So do TVs and kitchen ovens. Computers are used to run cars and airplanes. They also keep traffic lights blinking and trains on schedule. Okay, so after reading those two, we need to identify some things that are similar and some things that are different. So I am going to use my text highlighter, and I'm going to use, let's use green for my differences, okay? So what things are different or that they talk about that are not, they're not in this, they're in this text, but they're not in this text. Or they're in this text, but they're not in this text, okay? So let's see. In this text, it talks about who came up with the computers, but it didn't talk about that here. So let's highlight that in this text. So this is a difference, okay? This is a difference. And this video is about to end, so I'll start another one.